Look at verses 21 through 23. Paul transitions now right before the very end. You would think that it would end at verse 23, but Paul cannot do that. He can't end with just talking about human beings. But he does bring up the people who are with him. He's already greeted those who are in Rome or going to Rome, and now he's going to send greetings to the Romans from those who are with him. And he says, verse 21, Timothy, my fellow worker, greets you. So do Lucius and Jason and Sosipater, my kinsmen. I, Tertius, who wrote this letter, greet you in the Lord. Gaius, who is host to me and to the whole church, greets you. Erastus, the city treasurer, and our brother Quartus greet you. Here's what I want to be this, I think, is a final example for us. What do we get from those verses? It takes all of us working together if we are going to be obedient to Jesus, if we're going to stay on mission for the glory of Jesus, and we are going to get the gospel to the nations like Jesus has commanded us to do. We need to be fellow workers. Timothy, fellow worker. Lucius, Jason, Sosipater, don't know how to say his name. I probably say it different every time. My kinsman. Tertius, he wrote the letter for Paul. Paul didn't even write it with his own hand. That should freak us out. That Paul can just sit there. I don't know if you've tried to write before or do things just oration, dictating something to someone. It's a lot harder to just talk. If you were to transcribe my sermons on Sunday and try to make it into a book, no one would read it. It would be, you just couldn't understand. Why does he have all these pauses? Why does he have all these caveats? Why are his sentences so long? Paul, that may be why some of his sentences are so long. He's dictating. He's just speaking this letter, and Tertius just keeps going. He needed him. Who knows? It seems that many of Paul's letters were written, dictated, at least some of them, by other people. Why? It's much easier to write it yourself. Friends, his hands could have been so weak and feeble from the amount of beatings and imprisonments and torture that he had endured that he might not have been able to hold a quill as he should have to be able to write. So he dictates the letter. And Tertius is like, pretty good at penmanship. I'll write it down for you. Gaius is hosting Paul in his home in Corinth. He greets him. Erastus, also mentioned. Why is he mentioned? I don't know. He's a fellow worker, apparently. And who is he? He's the city treasurer. It's not just like pastors or deacons or people that are really obviously gifted that should be serious about the ministry of reaching the lost and discipling the saved. It's all of us. Paul gives us that example time and time again. If the Apostle Paul doesn't do things alone, we would be utter fools to think that we could or should. That's, I think, the final example. All of us need to be fellow workers in the faith. Some in more official roles in ministry, and some would be city treasurers or someone who says, you can stay in my house.